Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Hey, what's up with it, fam? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with that uncut realness, of course. And it's a slow week in boxing, so I want to talk about the news as it just came out today, or at least the news as I heard about it today. First things first, let's talk about an update on the whole Alycia Baumgardner positive and PED findings, right? So for those of you who haven't kept up or didn't see the last video, Alycia Baumgardner popped hot 3 days. She didn't pop hot 3 days before. She was given a urinalysis test 3 days before her most recent fight with Christina Linadartu on the 15th of last month, July. So on the 12th, she was tested. She was also tested on the day of the fight on the 15th and on the 16th. Now, that first finding on the 12th had adverse findings. She tested positive for 2 different steroids, and obviously boxing Twitter and boxing social media went up in smoke over it. Alycia Baumgardner is adamant that she has never taken any performance-enhancing substances, yada, yada, yada. The interesting part of the development on that, different from when I made the last video regarding it, was Jessica McCaskill and Rick Ramos. Now, the undisputed, I believe she's the unified welterweight champion, WBA, WBC, IBF, I'm not exactly sure. I think she is the unified. I don't think, let me see, hold on a second. I think she is the unified. I'm not really sure. I know she's either the unified or the undisputed welterweight champion, and she's fighting Sandy Ryan coming up. Either way, Jessica McCaskill called in to the Boxing Voice podcast hosted by my man Nestor Gibbs and Ringwalk Danny. And Jessica McCaskill talked about a very unusual take on Alycia Baumgardner's positive PED test. Basically, what Jessica McCaskill tried to hint at was that it's a conspiracy on the part of Matchroom because Alycia Baumgardner only has 1 fight left in her contract with Matchroom, and she's talking about possibly leaving Matchroom. And this is an act of retribution or something to that effect to her saying she's going to leave Matchroom. It didn't make any sense to me. Either way, that is slander fodder. That you say that kind of stuff on a major podcast like that, you can end up getting blacklisted. Eddie Hearn reacted to that news, and he did not react very favorable. He said he's deeply offended at the statements. I don't remember what video interviewed Eddie Hearn regarding those comments that Jessica McCaskill made, but Jessica McCaskill made those comments. Regardless, the odd part about it is Jessica McCaskill has a fight coming up with Sandy Ryan on Matchroom, and Jessica McCaskill just recently signed a deal with Matchroom for her next 3 fights. Now, usually these kind of deals, that when you sign with promotional platforms, whether it be Matchroom, PBC, or Golden Boy, are, obviously contingent on you fighting and performing, but also have certain rules and stipulations inside these contracts, like you cannot misrepresent the company you are signed to fight for in any way, shape, or form. And clearly, if you talk about this is an act of retribution against Alycia Baumgardner for threatening to leave or possibly actually is jumping ship from Matchroom, I'm not saying any of that is true. I'm just saying this is what Jessica McCaskill said to Nestor Gibbs on TBV on a live broadcast. So obviously a legal letter or notice was sent to her manager and trainer, Rick Ramos. And it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. This could blow up in Jessica McCaskill's face when she goes out there across the pond to fight Sandy Ryan. Oh no, they're fighting in Orlando. My bad. When they fight in Orlando on that matchup card, it could get interesting if Jessica McCaskill does not end up getting a stoppage over Sandy Ryan. I don't think she will. Sandy Ryan is very tall, is a boxer's boxer, and stays behind her jab. It's going to be interesting. But regardless, yes, Jessica McCaskill added fire to the flames that it's some big conspiracy. I don't know what the truth is regarding Alycia Baumgardner's adverse findings. I hate that it had to be Alycia Baumgardner, y'all. I will say this, like I said in my last video, it's very unusual the response that the media has been given regarding Alycia Baumgardner's adverse findings when it came to, people like Tyson Fury, people like Canelo Alvarez or Conor Benn. Oh, it was pitchforks and torches, you guys. Everyone was out for their heads, demanding they be suspended, demanding they be stripped of whatever titles they have. Pardon me. But no, it seems Alycia Baumgardner is so well liked by the boxing media that everyone is running that public relations help for her cause. And I don't know. I'm curious to see how this all comes together or falls apart. Some investigative journalist is going to hopefully blow the whole situation wide open so we can get some transparency on the situation, because boxing cannot keep going down the path it's going, folks, of people constantly popping hot for PEDs. Obviously, you got to raise the red flag. What's going on at Matchroom? Because this has happened several times in the past with other fighters on Matchroom. We just recently had Dillian White. We had Conor Benn, who was just a few days out from fighting Chris Eubanks Jr., and so on and so forth. Either way, we'll see how this develops and give it some time. The next big news thing on the docket, as far as I can tell what was going on in boxing today, was the news dropped by Chava Rodriguez. That is Salvador Rodriguez. He is one of the main reporters / journalists for ESPN Deportes, the Mexican branch of ESPN Sports that really focuses on boxing a lot because it's really big in Mexico. Chava Rodriguez made the announcement that Jaime Munguia has parted ways with El Terrible Erik Morales as his trainer, and he is linking up with Freddie Roach from this point going forward. And I think that's a fascinating turn of events for Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia tends to sell a lot of tickets wherever it is that he fights. People have made complaints that he's not fighting as tough a competition as he should. I went to his last fight against Sergey Deryevchenko. He won by decision. I was thoroughly entertained. Y'all, I'm not the pickiest boxing fan myself. If two guys that are relatively competitive with each other scrap, I'm with it. Obviously, I want to see the best fight the best. For some reason, Jaime Munguia has not gotten in the ring with Triple G or with Janibek Alemkhanali or Carlos Adames. But hey, I wasn't upset at Sergey Deryevchenko. I thought it was a great fight that he had with Gabe Rosado. His other opponents leading up to that fight with Sergey Deryevchenko left much to be desired. Jimmy Kelly, who is Gonzalo Gaston Correa? I don't know. Demetrius Ballard? You know, strange names regardless. Jaime Munguia from Tijuana in the Zona Norte area, if I'm not mistaken specifically. He did link up with Erik Morales at Erik Morales' famed Zona Norte gym, which is where Erik Morales pretty much trained most of his career, and I believe he had other fighters train there like Jose Luis Castillo and others. He linked up with Erik Morales after he had that close decision fight, that win against Dennis Hogan. Many people saw that fight with Dennis Hogan and thought that Jaime Munguia got a gift decision. Maybe you could make that argument. I think anytime there's a close fight between two fighters, there's always going to be at least 50% of the viewing public that's going to scream robbery. I think Dennis Hogan did a lot better against Jaime Munguia than a lot of folks thought he would. And, you know, coming from Australia against a known heavy hitter like Jaime Munguia, he had just got done fighting Takashi Inoue, Beefy Smith, Brandon Cook, Saddam Ali. So he had some good names. Takashi Inoue was a solid name. Beefy Smith, of course, who just got done knocking out Chris Eubanks Jr. And I think when an underdog or a betting underdog fighter goes in the ring with someone they are perceived as far outmatching them in skill set and they don't get run over, sometimes the immediate knee-jerk reaction of boxing fans is to give an unusual amount of extra credit to Dennis Hogan. Dennis Hogan did very well in that fight. Either way, I don't want to talk too much about the past. Jaime Munguia won that fight. He linked up with Erik Morales, and we saw, you know, minor improvements in his defensive capabilities under Erik Morales. I think it really pinnacled in his Gabe Rosado fight. He was using head movement, punching off the slips for about the first half of that fight, and then he reverted back to his old ways of being just a bruiser that throws. I haven't seen too much of that defensive improvement under Erik Morales since that fight with Gabe Rosado. I was there at that arena. Apparently, the move to go with Freddie Roach is because Erik Morales just doesn't have the time. He was named as the director of the Baja Sports Institute, and that has taken up most of his time. He is not as dedicated or as available to Jaime Munguia as I believe him and his team of advisors would like him to be. It is what it is. I just got done hanging out with Erik Morales at a hotel bar in Phoenix last weekend at the Navarrete Valdez fight event. That was crazy. I just got done talking to Marco Antonio Barrera, and I was at the bar getting another drink, and Erik Morales pulls up right next to me. I got photos. It's on my Twitter. Check it out. Anyways, that's the development with Jaime Munguia. I've seen flyers going around or posters that were made on social media, especially boxing Twitter, saying that Jaime Munguia should be fighting the fighting pride of Puerto Rico, Edgar Berlanga. Sorry, the name was escaping me there for a minute. I don't think Edgar Berlanga versus Jaime Munguia is next, folks. There's your boy Edgar Berlanga is on the other side of the promotional aisle at Matchroom Boxing. As of the moment, Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya have been going at it back and forth on Twitter, and I don't think that would be the biggest impediment to it. I do believe that the next goal for Jaime Munguia is going to be John Ryder, the person Canelo just beat. So I've been hearing both John Ryder and Edgar Berlanga. I'm prone to believe it's going to be John Ryder. John Ryder seems like the type that will take that fight. Edgar Berlanga, I don't know if his handlers are ready to throw him in there with a guy like Jaime Munguia. I would heavily favor Jaime Munguia against Edgar Berlanga based on what I've seen so far in their careers. Anyways, what do you think about Jaime Munguia's decision to switch trainers from Erik Morales to Freddie Roach? Let me know in the comments section. Is it good? Is it bad? Hit that like button. Hit follow if you haven't already done so. This is Hot Boxing Minute, the future of boxing analysis on YouTube and TikTok. Peace.